Fruits.
Balrogs and Blast Beats with another week of shenanigans. As you can tell if you're watching on YouTube, that Margie's covering her face to look like a rock star that wears a mask. This is the nerdiest podcast that ever there was, the coolest of the uncool. Just a reason for three nerds to get together and talk nerdy things, talk pop culture, talk metal, whatever we feel like. I am one of your hosts, Joshua Redbeard.
I am a secret member of North Lane. My name is not Margie, it's North Lane number 3. Do they use numbers? I don't know. I got you, it's me, Margie!
Oh my god, I didn't know you were there. And I'm Grant, as always. I'm going to take you into the nerdiest thing. It's not exactly nerdy, but I thought it was a pretty funny coincidence. So, as you saw in the
I
last
believe it's
episode,
pronounced Coinky Dink.
Coinky Dink, yes. A pretty weird Coinky Dink. As you saw in the last episode, and you'll see again, I had a gigantic coffee.
You're still going on it.
Yeah, that's a different one. It's a different week, Margie. Come on, keep the illusion up.
Yeah, we all changed our shirts and everything.
So my local coffee shop called the Caffeine Method on North Terrace in Burnie, which is where I now reside, which is in Tasmania, Australia, for those overseas listeners that I don't think we have. And technically, actually, you're all in the mainland. You're all overseas to me. So
Exactly.
I went in to get a coffee yesterday on Saturday, and the guy who owns the store comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you recording any podcasts today?" I'm like, it's a weird thing to say. And then it turns out that he's a fan of the podcast. So shout out to Caffeine Method for getting me through today's episodes as my hand shakes as I lift this up because I had 5 shots in this giant coffee.
Yay! We are not sponsored by them.
No.
We just enjoy their coffee.
But
Not
we
yet.
love coffee. Always
I
love
don't.
coffee.
I like Coke Zero, but
Oh, well.
or tea.
2/3
We'll get
of
you
us like coffee.
Yeah.
And
I like
so-
the concept. I got nothing against it personally. It just makes me real anxious.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, short and sweet. So I'm going to throw to you, Josh, for this week. Change it up.
I believe your coffee was tall and bitter, not short and sweet.
It was actually.
Quite
This week of you, Margie.
This week, I did what I do best. I went to the cinemas to see the latest superhero offering, this time seeing Shazam! Fury of the Gods. And it is ridiculous to say that of all the superhero properties we've gotten in the last little while, Shazam's the best. Like, Shazam
It does look very fun.
It's very, like, I think this is what DC don't seem to realize about what they have, is that DC are best when they're either don't take themselves seriously or take themselves too seriously. You know, like the Batman or the Christopher Nolan stuff, Joker on one side, when it's very serious, it's amazing. And then on the other side, like, Shazam is just popcorn superhero, and it's very entertaining. It's very funny. There's nothing too deep.
It's got Lucy
about
Liu in it,
like-
doesn't it?
And Meryl
Yeah,
Streep. Oh, not Meryl
and
Streep.
Meryl Streep.
Helen Mirren.
Yeah, Helen Mirren.
Same
Sorry,
thing.
yeah.
I'll put
But
my
yeah,
hand up. Sorry. I've
your
had
hand
an
up, Grant.
epiphany.
go on.
So we're going back to last week casting superheroes. Margie's absolutely Shazam.
I haven't seen any Shazam. Thank you.
That's actually very, very true. It's very, very true. But yeah, I'm curious to see, obviously, because James Gunn has now kind of taken the reins at DC. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that campy kind of stuff, like the stuff he's done with Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, that sort of stuff. And so I hope he kind of continues to follow that trend. Because, yeah, I think, Suicide Squad's another great example of, like, they fought a fucking starfish and it was fucking awesome. Like, it was so cool. Because they just, like...
Did they?
They just,
like, how big was the starfish? Like a palm-sized one?
No, like a starfish, like the size of a mountain kind of thing. Starro's amazing. Go and watch the Suicide
Starro.
Squad. So not the one with Will Smith, the second one. It's
I've already had to stay in a psychiatric ward. I've seen the Suicide Squad.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
But yeah, it's like Shazam was so much better than Ant-Man Quantumania. Like so much better than Ant-Man Quantumania. It's better than a lot of stuff that has been dropped. It's better than Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Like, it is, of everything that's come out recently, it is the best because it's just, it knows that it's a popcorn film and just continues to be a popcorn film. It still has heart. It still has like, your funny bits and pieces. But yeah, it's just, I think DC needs to do more of that. And so that's my nerdiest thing is,
Do you get the feeling that Marvel's maybe overstayed its welcome now? Like it's ran out of gas?
yeah, to a point. Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, they killed
came
off
out
Tony Stark. Fucking. Oh, sorry, spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah, but like,
if you haven't said it by now, it's
oh come on, like Iron Man was like the thing that built up that whole first phase cinematic or whatever. I don't know, like, and then there was the Avengers Infinity War, and like now I guess they have to. There's a lot of work to be done for them to build themselves back up and do that whole thing again. Like what they did first time around was very bold, like, and it worked. Like introducing all these movies and getting the Avengers happening and doing a long arc and all this shit. But like, yeah, is like they're gonna have to do something very cool to.
Yeah, Kevin Feige did comment recently.
What?
Kevin Feige, it's his name. He's like the head of Marvel Studios.
Okay.
He kind of came out recently and he said that they've kind of realized that they need to focus on quality over quantity. Like he feels like they did go a bit too far in the quantity side of things. So some things have been reeled back, some things have been pushed. Like there has been some changes in terms of the timeline for what's happening for the Marvel universe.
Okay.
I know that there was recently they rewrote because the original script for the new version of Blade came out, and apparently there was just like there was only like 3 action scenes, and so like they sent it back and went, no,
What the fuck,
obviously
man?
not.
Yeah.
Throwback to last week, Dungeons and Daddies, and I land in a sick Blade pose.
But yeah, when apparently with the rewrite, because the Blade was also supposed to have Kit Harington's character as Black Knight, because Kit Harington was kind of teased as Black Knight at the end of Eternals. Apparently, his character's been like pulled.
I'm pretty
right
sure it's
back.
the Dark Knight, and that's Batman. No, I'm just being silly. I'm sorry. I know the difference.
Yeah, I definitely
Pause for anger.
I get what you mean with the oversaturation, because Marvel was like one movie away from doing like the Hamburglar just to try to find a character.
Yeah,
I would watch
much.
a Hamburglar movie, to be fair.
Yeah, Hamburglar and Grimace, and it's basically like Fast 12.
Yeah, I'm like, apparently there's been more things teased about the Deadpool 3, because Deadpool 3 is the first official film with Deadpool in the proper MCU. And it looks like, I don't know if you've ever read the graphic novel Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, but I think they're pretty much going to do that. So in that, he gets, it's like, I can't remember exactly what happens, but something to do with death either tricks him or possesses him into basically jumping through and like killing every single superhero. He slaughters them all. And it sounds like he's going to go through the different timelines, because at the end of Deadpool 2, he got that like time shifting watch. And apparently the TVA that was in the Loki TV show is going to be a part of Deadpool 3. So I reckon they're chasing him through the different timelines, and he's going to go and like kill off a whole bunch of like old Marvel characters that were like in different timelines that aren't part of the official MCU.
Oh. Also, Marvel need to stop making fucking TV shows. There's so many. Like they're like, I don't fuck off. Just give me Star Wars. I don't care about Marvel. Like
to be fair, their TV shows lately have been better than their films lately. Like all the TV shows they've done. Yeah. All the TV shows they've done. Even the Hawkeye TV show is actually pretty entertaining. And so, yeah, I'm curious to see where they go next. But apparently they're going to reel some things back and make sure that they tighten up. Because Grant, you're right. They kind of, especially like through we're into phase 4 now. It has kind of lost the plot a bit.
Do you know what the 10th phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe plan is? They nuke everyone.
Start again.
They've run out of characters, and they literally just nuke planet Earth. Like all of us
pretty
die.
Pretty much.
It's a good get out of jail plan. Sorry, I'm playing collage and I'm snipping things. I need to do things with my hands. So this follows on from last week's nerdiest thing, because if you missed last week, I've listened to 53 episodes of Dungeons and Daddies in the space of like a week and a half that I've been listening to it, I think. Or maybe it's not been long, has it? It's been a very short amount of time.
I'm pretty sure I told you about it 2 weeks ago.
I'm pretty sure you started listening to it after I did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so look, when I hyperfixate, and so I'm clearly, and because Dungeons and Dragons is related to that, I actually like have put some thought into my character, and I was like doing a really good plan, and then I was like, shit, we have a D&D session, so I just threw a bunch of random spells in, as is my specialty. So my character, and I think though listening to the podcast has made me better at role playing my character. So I play a half elf who's a druid called Mela. She's chaotic neutral, ex-hermit. She likes animals, setting things on fire, seeing if she can flirt with people, and that's it. Like that's my 3 character traits. And I love knowledge. Like I like finding things out, but I'm not like I should do a wisdom check. I'm like I poke it with my quarterstaff. Like that's my level of finding things out. So in
Fuck around and find out.
that's pretty much my moral. So you bet your ass that my cantrip create flame, which is where you just like do that and you get like a palm full of flame. Like you just kind of hold out your hand and you get flame. And it's a cantrip, so you can do it as much as you want. So I use it all the fucking time. And when the dumb elf ranger of our crew, his intelligence is like -2. He's really dumb. He stabbed a book, and then I chased him through the library to hurl a handful of fire at him because I only just realized that when I create flame, I can throw it at someone. And I was like, it's like a baby fireball. Oh, God. So I threw a fireball at him. It didn't even hit him. He was fine. Like, anyway. And then after doing that, she went back to perusing the bookshelves. And she did feel really guilty, though, because she accidentally destroyed a few bookshelves when she turned into a bear and did a bit of a rampage. And anyway, and then when my summon Bestial Spirit, which isn't a spell in 5th edition, but it is if you include Xanathar's and Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. So I use it because I love summoning a Bestial Spirit. Normally it's the form of a honey badger, but lately I've been doing an ape because we're in a dungeon and everything's booby trapped. So I'm like, apes are human-sized. It goes first, triggers the traps. But it was killed by a giant, and then I sank to my knees and cried and did like a druid ritual. And then my DM as the beast was like, it's okay. I'm not dead. I was just a spirit in the first place. So you can't kill something like it was a temporary corporeal form that only lasts for an hour. And I was like, but I still cried and threw a fireball at a giant. And I also let my halfling wizard ride my bestial spirits because I think it's really cute. Whenever they're big enough, because otherwise they're honey badgers. Again, chaos. And then I proceeded to cast Spike, and there were like these giants coming at us like through like around the corner down a tunnel. So I just cast Spike Growth between us and them, which means to get to us, they had to... Spike Growth is a hella OP spell. It's like every time they try and move, they have to make like a saving throw. If they fail it, they take damage. If they fail it, they take half damage. Like it's one of those ones. Oh, no, wait. If they fail it, they take full. If they make it, they take half.
Succeed, then they take half. Yeah.
And it's also difficult terrain, so it slows them down heaps. So like for them to move, it takes ages, and it just kills them. It's so good. And so I cast that, and then I sat like at the edge of the range of the spell, like as far as I could sit, and just like was like playing with my flame hand lighter, like a child playing with a lighter, but just like doing the flame hand and like setting bits of grass on fire. And everyone was like, "You gonna help?" I was like, no, my ranged attacks are too OP and they require concentration, so I'd have to end that. I'm good. Just like, and then the elf ranger is still casting Pass Without Trace on himself and hiding from me. So I don't know where he is. I just know that he's with our party. But having a very good time in D&D and trying to be as in character as possible. And I got inspiration for being so me. So I like that. I love being rewarded with inspiration. Yes. But speaking of inspiration, segue.
Good segue. Good segue.
Yeah. So who inspires or has a profound impact on your life or something?
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Yeah, you got the segue right, and then it just sort of went downhill from there. We are going to move in.
And I drove into a tree. Yeah.
And then it went the way of the owner of Segway.
We're going to move into the medium beat for this week, and this week we're bringing in a new medium beat called Introducing My Hero, where one of the nerds talks about someone that's really like inspired a big part of their life. and I want to introduce one to start with, who may be
Oh,
kind of obvious, but not.
Josh! Oh,
I know,
thank
right?
you.
I know,
Thanks.
right? One's kind of obvious, but maybe not for the most obvious reasons. I want to introduce you to a gentleman called Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is like far and above one of my absolute heroes. Henry started as the vocalist for Black Flag. Shortly after was the vocalist in Rollins Band, and has been part of like the punk rock scene for a very, very long time. But like I like Black Flag. I'm a Black Flag fan, but like I'm not a diehard like I am for other punk rock bands. The main reason why I love Henry Rollins so much is because I've only bought some of them, but I have like every single book that he's ever written. I've read every single book that he's ever written. I have all of the TV specials he's done, including the Henry Rollins show that he did for a little bit. And he's just the stories he tells are beyond phenomenal. Like they are so deep and thoughtful, and he always kind of adds so much heart to it. Like I remember I can't remember how I got the CD, but I got like a CD that had like the best of his like spoken word performances. He's literally about to tour Australia and do it again.
Can
and I'm gonna
someone please
go-
buy me a ticket because I can't afford one? DM me, please. Oh my god. Oh my fucking. I love. Sorry, just going to interject. Henry Rollins also says yes to everything. Like that's one of I've seen him do his talk about how he just like says fuck yeah and takes opportunities and that. And so he ended up voicing Zahir on Legend of Korra, which is the follow on from Avatar: The Last Airbender, and obviously everyone knows how much I love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he fucking nails it. He is so good in that show. And sorry, Josh.
No, that's right. But no, that's a really good segue to talk about like his mindset when it comes to anything. Literally anything that he does is he's like, I'm going to give this every single inch of myself. And he talks about it a lot, like when it comes to acting, because he had a spot in Bad Boys 2. He was the white supremacist in like season 4 of Sons of Anarchy.
Oh, in a TV show. I was like, sorry, I thought
in a TV show.
In a TV show,
yeah, in Sons of Anarchy. But he plays it so terrifyingly well because he just commits. He's like, he finds himself surrounded by these people, and he's just kind of like, you're all professional actors, and I'm going to make sure that you don't regret having me around. So his commitment to life in general, like when it comes to his books are so fucking interesting and entertaining. He writes poetry, he writes just reflections on life and whatnot. But I don't know, like every time I've seen him live, like doing his spoken word things like 5 or 6 times, and every time I've just walked away feeling invigorated. Like I've walked away wanting to do more and wanting to like try harder at life. It's so hard to explain without sounding cheesy, but it's like every time I've seen him talk, I walk away as being like, oh, I need to do this now. Like it's just
I get that feeling when I take Ritalin.
There you go. Henry Rollins is like my Ritalin. But I highly suggest checking out his books. I mean, like if you want, because he has like shitloads of them. The best place to start is a book called Black Coffee Blues. I think that's probably one of my favorite books. Or check out there's a whole bunch of CDs that have his like best of spoken word things. Yeah, like I have a CD somewhere of his best of spoken word, and one of the cutest stories he tells is about meeting, like he got a call up about, it was when Rollins Band were in town for Livid in the 90s, and he got a call up from like the Make-A-Wish Foundation to go and visit this kid, and he tells
it was you dressed up as a child.
I wish. No, but he tells this like absolutely fucking beautiful story that he tells for like 20 minutes about how he met this kid who's like dying of leukemia, who's a massive Henry Rollins fan, and like the kid didn't know that like the Rollins Band were touring and whatnot, and so he kind of walks in and this kid just like loses the plot, and it's just the way he tells stories is so fucking full of heart, and like I'm gonna try and find that story, and if I can find it, I'll link it in the show notes because it's definitely worth a listen. But if you want to feel inspired, go and check out some of Henry Rollins' spoken word stuff. I'm sure there's like heaps on YouTube. Like if you feel like reading, go and check out any of his books, but start with Black Coffee Blues.
Does he have audiobooks that he reads? Because I would be really into that. I love his voice.
That's a great question. I would assume so, because that's a very Henry Rollins thing to do. Don't know, but the answer is most likely. Like if anyone was going to do it, he was going to do it. So
Henry Rollins, if he hasn't done it there, just ask him to do it because he'll say yes.
Pretty much, he'll say yes. He'll 100% do it.
We're fucking. Oh my god, can we get Henry Rollins as a guest?
I mean, it's possible. I definitely have an in. I might be talking to him for Short Fuss Loud, but I don't know. So kind of see what happens.
If you're talking to him for Short Fast Loud, sorry, everyone who doesn't know, Josh hosts a radio program on Triple J called Short Fast Loud. He has done for a long time. He's kind of an icon in the music scene. Everyone knows who he is.
That's a lie.
So Short Fast Loud, if you get Henry Rollins in, I'm coming in as your backpack, whether you want it or not. Like I'm fucking. He's like, what's that? You're just like, oh, that's my
Yoda.
It's my Yoda. Jump,
My Yoda.
jump,
My
jump
Yoda.
and run. I can be your
Yeah.
backpack. Tell you.
I
what a
like-
banger.
I have to say this as a preface, and I don't mean it as a humble brag. Like I've met a lot of my musical idols. I've met a lot of very, very like popular heavy metal people, and I've never ever felt nervous or scared or about that. But I would be terrified to talk to Henry Rollins because I'd have this. I don't care what anyone thinks of me apart from Henry Rollins. Like I need him to like me. I need him to think that I'm really, really smart, and I'd be terrified of fucking it up. And so I'd be like, I'm gonna like if this interview happens, I'm gonna do it, but I'm going to be shitting my pants for probably the first time in my entire professional radio life. Because
Even
I
more
need
of a
him to
reason why
like
you
me.
need me. Because I could just I could do my Mr. Bean dance outside the window, and you'll be like,
Yeah.
all right, well, I'm going to look better
She's
than
not
her.
with me.
Like, she's...
Yeah.
and Henry Rollins will just be like... I'll be like, I loved you in Legend of Korra. And he'll be like, please, keep her away. I'll do anything. And then you'll have a really good interview. Because you'll say...
You'll be my emotional support, Margie. You'll just be there for
I won't
shave
shave my back for a few weeks, and I'll get like a nice healthy pelt on there, so I'll be nice
Perfect.
and smooth to pat.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
But
But yes, that is my hero,
Henry Rollins will love you. I have no doubt, because you are like you're passionate about what you do, and he's passionate about what he does, and it's like I think because you're a genuine person. And he that's something that he would really value in seeing in you, I think.
I'm just gonna cut that out of the podcast and listen to that on repeat. I'm gonna need that hype up like the day of.
Oh, if anyone ever needs Margie affirmations, turns out I'm a really good hype man.
100% are. You really, really are. I'm here for it. But yeah, that is my hero, Henry Rollins. Go and check him out if you've never heard of him, or even if you've heard of his band. Go and check out his books because his books are fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to read it.
Yeah, but speaking of inspiration, that does kind of lead quite nicely into the main beat for this week.
Oh my god, can we call this whole episode Inspiration
Segues.
with rainbow
We can.
Inspirational segues.
Inspirational segues. But this week we are looking at the weird and wonderful stories behind creative inspiration. Like as three creative individuals in our own way. Like obviously we find inspiration from the strangest of places, but it turns out there's like an amazing amount of stories as to what inspired like certain video games, TV shows, movies, books, and whatnot. So we wanted to dig a little bit deeper on the fun stories behind what I've called this episode Unintended Inspiration because I feel like that's probably the best way to describe it. But Grant, maybe do you want to kick things off?
No, I've got my hand up.
Oh, Margie's gonna beat you to it.
Go ahead.
Beat you to it.
So I was thinking of this because I kept just like making connections in my head about these things. You know, like when you hear about something, you make the connection. And then I was like, but whenever someone asks me for an example, the only one I can ever do is Kekule's Dream, which is where the structure of benzene. So for those who don't know what benzene is, this is a chemistry nerd one, but it is inspiration. So the structure of benzene is a 6-membered ring, tick, 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 and it is what we call aromatic. So it has delocalized electrons floating around it, which... short interlude. I'm doing a video demonstration. Believe it or not, I taught chemistry at the university for many years. So
if you listen to this podcast, this is just the most interesting thing you've ever watched in your life. If you just listen to this on Spotify or YouTube or stuff like that, or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, it's just it's deep and inspirational.
It's actually a perfect time for you to go leave a review.
All right, so these 6-membered rings are flat planes, and they couldn't figure out how the double bonds worked around the ring because they were like, maybe it's like this, but then it would change because you could do stuff like radio labeling and all of this stuff. It's actually really cool as a chemist, like a very interesting problem. But what I'm showing here is a resonance diagram, which means that the electrons are simultaneously Schrodinger's cat style doing this and doing this. Or try to draw it so it looks less like faces. Anyway, so what it means is that because the electrons are delocalized, they couldn't figure out how this thing worked. And then Kekulé had a dream about a snake eating its own tail. Like he had a dream about an Ouroboros and how like the snake eating its own tail was a representation of infinity and all of this kind of stuff. And then he's like, what if the electrons are everywhere at once, and this is just like a symbol of like, and that is how a really huge problem in chemistry got solved by some dude just dreaming about it, like snake eating its own tail. And so Kekulé's dream is in a lot of chemistry textbooks, which is great. And I just love that. I'm like, how many more things in our world come from dreams? Grant, is that where all your riffs come from?
I wish. Maybe dreams that didn't quite make it. I don't know.
Dreams that didn't quite make
it. Oh dear.
No, so I've like obviously I've found a couple of funny anecdotes. One of the ones I'd like to cover is apparently quite a few of the monsters in D&D came from Gary Gygax when he was younger. He used to buy like dollar store like dinosaurs and stuff like that, like little plastic icons that he that were made in China. And apparently some of these creatures that he got out of the box were just so unrecognizable to any like creature on the planet that he then turned those into creatures in D&D. So apparently the carrion crawler and Umber Hulk and Rust Monster and the Purple Worm are all based on these plastic figurines that were supposed to be either dinosaurs or farm animals. And like the Umber Hulk is like this giant like subterranean insect creature with like 4 eyes and like giant talons and like big arms. So I possibly could not imagine what animal that was supposed to be. But yeah, next time you're thinking about buying some D&D miniatures, just go to $2 shop. Uncle Bucks, he'll sort you out, mate.
Honestly, there's nothing that a heat gun and some PVA glue can't fix. Melt them down, stick two together. There's your fucking creature.
Yeah. Call that Tasmanian tiger.
You know how they do the Tasmanian tiger like sighting photos, and it's just like you photoshopped in like a lump of plastic with like a giraffe stuck to it, and it's like.
It's 100% it.
That's it. That's it.
I thought it was funny. I saw this anecdote about apparently Agatha Christie used to sit in a bathtub all day when she was thinking of her novels, and she would eat apples and line the perimeter of the bath with the cores because she couldn't. If she was to get out of the bath, she'd lose her inspiration. So she basically used to just swim in a broth of apple cores to write her books.
I have inspiration.
I thought that was pretty funny.
That's just D&D. One of the ones that made me think of this was like the band Bathory, Bathory, is named after one of the worst serial killers of all time, and probably
the best. Depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, Elizabeth Bathory was a Hungarian noblewoman who had like a castle and stuff, and she used to get like young women from the village and kill them, and there were so many rumors about it, but I think she was just honestly like a complete sadist, like just absolutely fucking loved watching people suffer. Like she was probably a psychopath, and also she was like nobility, so she was probably inbred. But like she would torture them, she would cover them in honey and let ants eat them. She would just do all of this ridiculous shit. And there's all these rumors about like she bathed in their blood and stuff. And after she was convicted, they literally just walled her into a room that had a slot for food, and that was it. So they just built a room around her, and that was that. But like Elizabeth Bathory killed, give me 2 seconds, which is like pretty metal though, Hungarian serial killer, and she killed more than 80, up to 650 alleged.
Jesus.
So, and the span of the crimes was only 20 years between 1590 and 1610. and she was a countess, and she had a big fancy castle, and she was metal as fuck. So Bathory,
Very metal.
good choice in band name. It's metal as fuck.
100%. You know, like I started looking into like films and whatnot, and there was some cute like short ones that I thought were actually like kind of, I mean, not funny really when you think about it, but like apparently Nightmare on Elm Street is technically based on a true story because it was inspired by someone who kept on having the same recurring nightmare and then one day just died in their sleep. I was like, that's actually terrifying to think about. I felt like Grant, I thought you might enjoy this one as well. Dan O'Bannon, who wrote Alien, like the original Alien, was trying to think about how to like write something kind of like haunting, and so he based it off his real life experience. So the chest burster is actually based on his experience having Crohn's disease, and he was trying to explain what Crohn's disease is like. If you don't know, it's a stomach issue where basically the bacteria in your stomach eats your intestines, and it feels like something is trying to burst out of your stomach. And so he used that as inspiration to try and like describe to people what it felt like to have Crohn's disease. And I'm like,
I think he won.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's beyond gross.
That's
Kick-Ass.
so gross.
So for Kick-Ass, Mark Miller, apparently as a kid, him and his friends decided they were going to be like superhero vigilantes. And like he's like, I'm so thankful that we decided not to do that, but this is what would have happened if we actually went through with it. But my favorite one, and I think it's my favorite because my teacher in high school was very, very wrong about it. I went to a private Catholic boys' school, and my teacher would always use the Matrix as an allegory for religion in terms of like Jesus being the one and like dying and being reborn and everything like that. And he would have entire lessons where he would show us the Matrix and point out all these things about like this is what this means and this is the inspiration for this. And the whole film just ended up being about Lily Wachowski's experience with being a trans person and trying to be her true self and like coming out into the real world, as it were, and opening your eyes for the first time. And the whole thing was literally about this. And I wish that I could go back to that teacher now and just be like, you were teaching us the exact opposite thing. Like if there was an opposite to what you were teaching,
that was it.
It was, y'all fucked up. Like, oh my God. One of my favorite movie things is that Ursula from The Little Mermaid is based off Divine, the drag queen.
That makes so much sense as soon as you pointed out.
As if you don't know Divine, look up Divine drag queen and then compare that to a picture of Ursula. And so she starred in a bunch of John Waters movies, and she did things like eating dog poop and having sex on camera, and she was filthy. She was the filthiest fucking drag queen and amazing. And then you see Ursula and you're like, she's a drag queen. That's fucking it. So that's like one of my favorite just like things you should know. Like, oh my God.
I think that's like my favorite thing about this is like while I was doing so much research, like so much stuff just like was either funny how ironically wrong it was or like how obvious it should have been. Like I was like, I found a list of like the inspiration behind like different video games and whatnot, and one that once it was explained, I almost felt embarrassed that I didn't pick up on it. So BioShock is completely inspired by Ayn Rand and Ayn Rand's books Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead. And then when you
Ayn Rand.
Ayn Rand, I don't know exactly how to pronounce Ayn Rand and
it's AYN, however you fucking say it. Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it's Ayn Rand. But like, so Ayn Rand is the author. Andrew Ryan is the name of the person who created BioShock and that whole thing. The Fountainhead, his other book, there's a character in it called Fontaine. There's a character called Atlas. There's a point where they what was the other thing that happened in it? Yeah, so it's revealed that Andrew Ryan once destroyed his own property in order to prevent it from becoming public possession. That exact same thing happens in Atlas Shrugged. And like, I think it's because BioShock was so amazing. It was its own thing that I just never connected to anything else. My brain just went, no, this is so amazing. This is so original. But then when you think about the inspirations, you just kind of like, like this is actually really, really obvious as soon as it's pointed out. And
But
then
I
it's
also
my
think it's
parents-
hilarious because all of the mechanics of Bioshock are just taken from System Shock, which is another game. So like, there's actually no single point of the game that's original.
no, none of it.
I was just going to say
Absolutely
my
none of it.
parents made me read Ayn Rand when I was like 13 or 14 or something.
That's awkward for you.
And she was just not really. Like, I mean, after me reading Are You There, God, It's Me, Margaret at age 6, like nothing's really awkward from there.
It's all downhill from there. It really is.
Honestly, and also like autistic, like it's not fucking awkward. Anyway,
Yeah.
and my parents like, what do you think about that afterwards? And like, well, asking me like questions about how I felt about it, trying to gauge if I was a capitalist or not, or if I was going to be a libertarian or something. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't like the character. They're an asshole. Like, I don't agree with what they do, and blah blah blah. And Bub's like, good. Just like goes back to whatever she was doing, and I was like. So, so any child that involves testing on any movie that involves testing on children was actually based off my real life.
Fair.
Yeah, that's I found a great one on the internet that I have to read out. Christian Bale based Patrick Bateman's gaze in American Psycho on Tom Cruise's eyes. In a David Letterman interview with Tom Cruise, Bale noticed Tom Cruise's eyes had intense friendliness, but there was nothing behind the eyes.
I mean, he's not wrong.
It sounds about right.
Yeah, it was like, holy shit.
Him and David Miscavige, 2 peas in a pod.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that dude's actually a robot, though.
Yeah, well, we all know that. He's a robot. No, he's a alien from the Scientology place.
Xenu.
From Xenu.
From Xenu himself.
Good book.
What, Dianetics?
Oh yeah, I mean the original is very, very funny. Like you should read if you read it like as a comedy book, it's very funny. Now my ex-father-in-law has like the original copy of Dianetics when it was only like 100 pages long before they expanded out to like 400 or 500 pages, whatever it is. And literally like, you know, like nowadays they try and get away from like the aliens thing, but on the original book, like the cover is literally like people like walking packages up into a UFO. It's like they were just like, no, yeah, this is 100% smart. Oh no, it wasn't.
I think the thing was because the alien twist got out to the public. They were kind of like that was kind of you're in the cult now. You feel stupid. You can't leave because you're gonna like know that if you leave now, it's because you believe this crap. That's the trap. Every cult, that's the trap. You get in and then you don't leave because at some point you're like, well, I've given up too much to be here, and me leaving admits that everything that I'd done was supremely stupid.
I mean, and all cults take their inspiration from preceding cults, and then all of it just comes from the Bible in the first place. So you could say you know, inspiration behind cults sorted, and also
just Jesus.
Yeah, it's Jesus. Yeah, they just want to be the next Jesus. Problem solved. Moving on. And like another one in music that is just one that always comes to me is like Leviathan. By Mastodon. Like it's a song. It's an album about Moby Dick. Like that. It's a concept album about Moby Dick, which is fucking sick. Like, but like that's it. It's a concept album about Moby Dick. I love it. I love
Which also Moby Dick is inspired by real life events of the Essex as well.
It is.
Yeah,
it's wild.
Well, I don't know. You're gonna have to tell me that story because I don't know that one.
All right, Grant.
I don't have all the knowledge on hand, but basically there was the guy who wrote Moby Dick was on board a ship that was basically like pretty much destroyed by a whale, not like the same whale and all.
No, it was a sperm whale.
No, it was a sperm whale, but I mean, like, I think they had multiple run-ins with different whales because they were a whaling ship.
No, it was the one whale that did it. And I can't remember. I think so. What happens when you go out whaling? So this was a whaling ship, and it was out somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. It had come down from Canada, New England sort of area, and it came down, and like there were no whales anywhere, and then there was the ship like you have the main boat, and then you have like little whaling boats that you put off at the sides. Then you go out in them, and then you like harpoon the whale from that and shit like that, and it's all really gross. Whaling is ugh. Anyway, and I'm really glad that gets brought up in the new Avatar movie. It's just a big bit of anti-whaling propaganda. Anyway, and so they were out in the boats, like the little whaling boats, and on the main ship they were doing something that was creating like loud squeaking or like noises or something. I think they were trying to repair something on the main boat. And they don't know exactly why, but they think it's because of the sounds it was making through the water, that this big male sperm whale like was like, holy shit, it's another fucking male sperm whale. There was something like about the noises it was making, and like
It was
their
the
territorial
hammering. I'm
stuff.
pretty sure the
Yeah.
hammering on the ship is like really similar to the sounds a sperm whale makes. So they like,
Yeah.
oh, it's another male in my territory, but they were actually just trying to repair their ship.
Yeah, and because there was never any record of sperm whales attacking any ships before, and it came up and attacked, like slammed into the ship, and then it swam off, and then it came up and fucking destroyed the ship, like full blown obliterated it, and everyone had to like get to the whaling boats, and I think one of like the smaller whaling boats was destroyed in the process. And then long story short, they went and like lived on an island, and then some of them went to go try and find somewhere else while leaving the rest on the island. Bunch of people died. The people who stayed on the island had a great time. They just lived off like coconut and crab and were like vibing. The rest of the people, harrowing death journey, cannibalism, and like when they were found, pretty much one of them was like clutching the bone of one of the dead people of whom he'd eaten and like wouldn't let it go, and they were all crazy. But so like there were like these real ongoing psychological effects from it. But yeah, so that's where Moby Dick was inspired from too.
Because that sounds much more interesting than Moby Dick, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I haven't read Moby Dick because I'm like, what happens in it? And it's like, guy tries to kill a whale. I'm like, ocean's pretty big,
I mean,
thanks. Like,
it's an allegory for obsession, and obsession being the death of people. But yes, basically, a guy tries to kill a whale.
oh my god! And then Game of Thrones, that whole saga, like Song of Ice and Fire, is an allegory for obsession with power being the death of people, and obsession with their victory being the death of people. So you could say that A Song of Ice and Fire is about Moby Dick, which is about the boat. Oh my god, we've cracked it!
We've gone galaxy brain at this point in time.
We've gone full Xenu.
Give me something and I'll fucking link it. I'm ready.
I mean, there was some great inspirations I was reading behind certain very, very famous songs, and one of my absolute favorites was the inspiration behind "Smells Like Teen Spirit." It Smells Like Teen Spirit is technically an advertisement for a deodorant. Bet you didn't know that. Yeah, 100%. That's what Grant's face is pulling right now. So Kurt was dating Toby Val from Bikini Kill, and one night they were staying at Catherine Hanna from Bikini Kill's house, and they fell asleep in the right. So cool. But they were asleep. Catherine Hanna wakes up in the morning and goes into the room, and just scrawled on the wall above where they were sleeping, "Kurt smells like teen spirit." And he got up and saw it and thought, oh, this is like, talking about punk rock. It's talking about like, like establishment kind of stuff. But no, it turns out that there was a very popular deodorant from like the 60s through to the 90s that Toby Val used to wear called Teen Spirit. And so he had no idea about this and just thought, oh yeah, this is some fucking punk rock thing. But no, it's talking about smells like a particular brand of deodorant.
Same. I smell like, I think we should release a new song called Smells Like Lynx Africa.
Smells like Lynx Africa.
Smells like Jupe Go.
I always hated the smell of Lynx Africa. I have to say, like, of all the Lynx flavors, Africa smelled the worst. Like, they all smell bad, but Africa smelled the worst.
I think it's because it was so often smelled in combination with stanky boy pheromones and sweat and teenagers are just pools of hormones, and that smells really fucking bad. Like,
True.
True.
But there was another very, very famous song that has a wonderful, wonderful story behind it, because it has just too many layers of irony. So Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing" is a song about how rock stars just don't really do anything, as like they get money for nothing and the chicks for free, as the sort of song goes, which is ironic in itself that a song written about rock stars doing nothing became a #1 hit and made this band so much money. But the song he didn't actually write the lyrics to this song. So the fucking Mark Knopfler was in a high, like a Best Buy, JB Hi-Fi kind of like appliance store, and is listening to these two salesmen who are watching MTV on one of the TVs playing some Rockstar thing, and the salesmen were complaining about how rock stars get money for nothing and the chicks for free. So he wrote down what someone else was saying and turned this into a song about getting money for nothing and the chicks for free. And I think that is the ultimate own ever.
That's
It's pretty
fucking
good, yeah.
amazing.
Like, because I knew it was obviously satirical, but I didn't know that he also, it's
Yeah.
the other sense that he didn't even come up with the idea. So he's actually like, didn't do it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty
So it's like
funny.
it's satirical, but it's also
It
like
proves the
legit.
rule.
Yeah.
I forgot. My nerdiest thing was meant to include these. For those watching on camera, I have duck dice. Thank you to Roll with Advantage. I bought them from them, and they are really cute, and they have little duckies in them. And I already have some D20s that have ducks in them, so now I have
Duck 20s.
fucking duck 20s left, right, and center. Roll a
Duck
D8.
20s.
I think you mean a duck 8. And that's not going to get old. Anyway, forgot to say that earlier. And then like also inspiration for like from stuff comes from life experience, like Tolkien writing Lord of the Rings after going to war, which was like that's a
Harrowing.
very obvious influence. But then and apparently Mario was inspired by the landlord at the Seattle warehouse where they were storing Donkey Kong video games.
I was watching a thing about this with the creator of Mario just the other day, where he was talking about how like he was trying to design Mario to be like an 8-bit kind of thing. It's like it's really hard to draw faces in 8 or 10-bit, and so to kind of separate the nose from the mouth, he just gave it a mustache because that was easier. It was really hard to like draw hair, and so he just gave him a cap rather than drawing hair. But he was originally just called Mr. Video because he was a person in a video game. And then he was called Jumpman in the original Donkey Kong like video game.
Because he was just the side character. He wasn't
Yeah.
the
jumps.
main
Yeah, he wasn't the main character. He was just
Oh, how tables have turned. Turn tables.
And he was originally a carpenter. That's why he had the hammer rather than being a plumber. He was originally a carpenter. But then
You know who else was a carpenter?
Jesus.
My granddad.
And Harrison Ford.
Yeah, he was. Oh, sorry. Back to it.
But yeah, so when they were finally breaking Donkey Kong into the American market, they were shipping out of this warehouse in Seattle, and so a bunch of the Japanese flew over to Seattle to kind of help. And yeah, the landlord in the warehouse where they were keeping all the Donkey Kong video cases had this big mustache, and his name was Mario. And so the dudes are like, that's a great name, let's go with that. So I was like, yeah, sure. But then I thought what was really interesting afterwards is that he, then obviously Super Mario Brothers happens and you need like a player too. And so then they created Luigi, who was literally just like a color swap. Like that's all it was originally. And so apparently the creator looked up the second, because Mario was the most popular name in Italy at the time. So he looked up, well, what's the second most popular name? And it was Luigi. I haven't been able to find the actual word, but in this thing he says that phonetically Luigi in Japanese means similar, which is that sort of like because he's similar, he's a brother. But the closest word I found was it Hitoshi, which is not exactly like Luigi. Like I tried to find a whole bunch of different synonyms for the similar and I couldn't find it, but this is coming out of a Japanese dude's mouth, so I guess he would know more about his language than I do.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it. I reckon.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it, but I couldn't find the word. I've had like 6 different words for similar and none of them sounded like Luigi. So I think
is that his goal the whole time? He's like, these fucking white dudes would have no idea.
He's like, I can call it whatever I fucking want.
No one's gonna fact check me.
Yeah.
Troll the absolute fuck out of it.
Oh. And another great source of inspiration, which it's one of my favorite things to bring up, is that Clueless is based off the novel Emma by Jane Austen. It's a modern adaptation.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's where the idea for Clueless came from. And that's what the story is. It's a very modernized version of Emma.
Amazing.
Really funny because like she meddles and blah 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 and all of that kind of stuff, and yeah, it's really good. But I did look up like like I wonder if there's any cool things where like bands got their names from. Yeah, like As I Lay Dying, named after the 1930 novel As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. Wild. You know, like
Metal.
the one I do like the story of a Wilhelm scream, which is pretty funny. So obviously Wilhelm scream is that sound effect that you hear in Star Wars, Indiana Jones. It's the scream. Okay, so
Default scream.
but then the story behind the Wilhelm scream. So it's been used in nearly 400 films, and the effect was first used as stock in 1953's The Charge at Feather River, where a character named Private Wilhelm uses it when he gets shot by an arrow. But it was actually recorded for 1951's Distant Drums, labeled "Man Getting Hit by an Alligator and He Screamed." So I wish I'd known this before we played with the Wilhelm scream. So I should have been like, have you considered changing your band name to Man Getting Bit by an Alligator and He Screamed? And I'm sure they would have gone, cool.
No.
Sure.
Like, that's nice, dear. That's nice. But like some of them, like Amon Amarth get their name from Mount Doom, which is fucking sick. Like, but you know, like a lot of metal bands get like their names are just shit that sounds tough. But like apparently, I don't know, like you know, like Children of Bodom's a good one. Like the story of the massacre at Lake Bodom, which is not super well known. So obviously Children of Bodom are Finnish, and the Children of Bodom massacre was these 4 teenagers went camping at Lake Bodom, and 3 of the 4 got murdered during the night, like full slasher style horrific murder. And there were really weird things about it, like, you know, shoes being left behind and all of this stuff. And I think one of them survived. I can't quite remember, but yeah, that's where Children of Bodom's name comes from. Is like a really famous unsolved case. Yeah, the Lake Bodom murders were fucking brutal, and this is in Finland. Like, you know, like you don't fucking get many mass murders going on. Mass murders going on.
You totally just reminded me.
3 people killed, 1 person survived. Someone just cut like the tent open and just murdered them, and it was like, and like mutilated them and stuff. It's fucking metal. Like, it's a fucking metal name, but like, yeah.
You totally just reminded. Do you know the story behind Slipknot's song "Purity"?
No.
So in the original release of Self-Titled, there's a song called Purity, which was taken off the album after the very, very first pressing. And it's because it's a song that was inspired by a story of a girl that gets kidnapped by a serial killer. And she was put into this sort of like underground sort of like coffin, basically. She was like buried alive, but there was like a tube that kind of came down so she could still breathe. And apparently this other like little girl, so the girl that was kidnapped was like in her like late teens sort of thing, and then apparently this other little girl like came along and could hear this person talking and would like talk to the person, but wouldn't, like, she didn't tell anyone about it. And so like a lot of the stuff in it is like the Purity, the girl that was kidnapped, talking about how she's dying and she needs help, and this other little girl not actually helping her until afterwards. And it's like this really, really harrowing story. And so they wrote a whole song about it, but then it turns out that the story was made up, and they were like, I don't know if they were sued or they were scared about being sued for plagiarism, because they literally just took this story that someone else had taken. So you can find it, I think you can find it on like later editions of it, but yeah, for a long time that story
come back as it.
The song was taken off.
It's actually not that far off a real life case that happened though. In case you can't tell, during lockdown, I listened to a lot of true crime. I was really bored.
If you're not watching this, Margie is a white woman, and so she's interested in white crime, in true crime.
White crime,
white crime,
yeah,
and true same thing.
Let's be real; it's mostly white perpetrators with less dead victims.
It made me think of David Parker Ray when you were talking.
Yeah, because there was a chick who got kidnapped by this family. Like, she was hitchhiking and got into a car with a mother, father, and child. And she was like, oh, this will be right. They ended up locking her in a wooden box underneath their bed and kept her as like a fucking sex slave person for years. And it was fucking like and like sometimes she wouldn't be let out of the box for like 2 weeks at a time, and she just had to live in a fucking wooden box underneath a bed.
That's creepy as.
It's all right. She ends up escaping and stuff, but like, holy, like that's some fucking trauma you're never going to recover from, is it? Like,
yeah, you would never come
jeez.
back from
Like,
that.
also, who comes up with ideas like that? Like, what kind? Like, I don't want someone in a box under my bed. I get scared when my cat's under my bed, and I'm like, oh god, it's like just like a little cat runs out. Jesus, like,
But like, it's more like, how do you get the whole family on board too?
Mm.
I don't fucking.
Yeah, how do you-
know.
How do you start that conversation?
So, Jimmy, today we're going to pick up a woman that's hitchhiking alone, and we're going to take her back home, and then you're not really going to see her, but don't worry about it. Just don't talk about it to anyone. It's all good. And if you do see her again around the house, she's just our friend. But like,
Pause.
huge amount of like Stockholm syndrome and stuff that happens in there, and then that's another Muse song inspired by something. Of course, sorry to change topic. A very good nerd name for a very good band, Shai Hulud.
Yep.
Dune
Worm.
Solid
God
Dune
Emperor.
reference, which is fucking an excellent reference. But like so many metal bands have just got like the boringest names, like, or it's like, oh, it sounded cool, and you're like, yes, you're like,
does it though?
does it?
I mean, Cannibal
though?
Corpse does sound pretty cool.
Cannibal Corpse does sound pretty cool. I'll pay that.
I
Pig
mean,
Destroyer as
it-
well.
Pig Destroyer is a fucking sick band name.
It's a very sick band name.
Yeah, there are just so many weird things of like, you know, like I Will Always Love You by Dolly Parton. It's one of my favorite stories, is that it's not a breakup song. It's just like stopping working with someone and she wrote him a song. They're still friends. Like, they still stayed friends. They just stopped doing a TV show together.
Do you know she wrote that and 9 to 5 in one day? Like two of her biggest songs of like fucking her career were both written in the space of 12 hours.
I want
So
what
do you reckon
she's having.
she knew that the first song was so good that she shit posted by singing 9 to 5, just saying that song was just part of her 9 to 5?
Probably. I mean, there's so many stories about that as well. I mean, maybe that's another episode as well. But like, yeah, I remember hearing fucking Bruce Springsteen handed in his album once, and the record label kind of went back to him and said, "Nah, it's missing a single. It's missing a single." So literally, like, went away for a night in a hotel room, wrote "Dancing in the Dark," just came back and threw it at them and walked out again. And it was just like the biggest song of your fucking career. Apparently, the guitar solo on Michael Jackson's, is it Thriller or Bad?
Beat It.
I think it's Beat It. Yeah, the guitar solo on
Eddie
Beat
Van
It.
Halen one.
Yeah, apparently, apparently Eddie just walked into the studio, one take to that solo, and walked out again.
That's how I roll. Just with I mean, there's also, let's not forget, Pirates of the Caribbean film franchise based off a ride.
It's based off a ride, yeah. based off
based
Walt
off like
Disney's favorite ride.
It's based off like a fucking log ride. How good is that? Oh, it brings me such joy. And like the Fast and the Furious film was based
Furious.
Shot. Yeah. Look, it was based off a magazine article. And then they were like, "Oh, this will make a real."
You know what this article's
film.
missing? Family.
Do you know what this movie's missing? A fucking Nissan Skyline with some LED lights.
Amazing.
Iconic.
Amazing. But I think we can start to bring that segment to an end, though, and just be like, it's obvious that there is a million stories like that. Like there's so many that I was going through.
If you have any cool stories, to steal Josh's phrase, dear listener, tell us. Like, if you know of any fucking sick reasons behind song titles or movies or scenes, like even within movies, there are so many scenes that are call outs to other scenes. But like, fucking, if you know cool stories, fucking drop a comment or like, you know, send us a message.
Slide into the DMs. You can leave some comments on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. Let us know. We love
Yeah,
to hear
on-
from you. We do.
Leave one on Facebook. No, we don't do Facebook. Or do
We
we?
have
I
a
don't know.
Facebook, but I forget to post on it. So
No,
it's,
it's
yeah, I
it's
think-
not safe doing anything on Facebook because if any of my family sees it, because I only use Facebook for like my family, and Jesus Christ, like anytime I do anything, like we had like a 70-year-old family friend comment on like Captives going on tour somewhere, and he goes like, "Very good band. Haven't listened to it yet, but have known Margie since she was a baby. Good. What a good person." And I was like, "Yep,
yeah.
that's,
Bless every single boomer who comments on things like that.
bless the boomers of Facebook. If you don't know any cool stories, just leave your most boomer-like comment, and we will get some boomer-like comments, I'm sure, with our lead-out question.
Oh yeah, we've got
Our
a good
final
one.
beat.
As we move into the final beat for this week, dear listener, it's a would you rather, and I think it's going to be a good one. It's going to be some hot contention. So it's would you rather be a Jedi or a Sith? Grant, let's start with you.
I mean, I'd pretend that I thought about it for a long time, but obviously a Sith. Like, why would you want to be a Jedi? How fucking boring. Like, not only are you like being a Jedi, are you pretending that everything that you do is the best for everyone, not letting them decide how they want to live their lives. Kidnapping children from birth and indoctrinating them into thinking that being a robot is the best way to live. No, not having it. Being a Sith, don't actually have to be a bad person if you're Sith, because you have a choice of what you want to do. Because inherently being a Jedi, you don't have any choices you don't have autonomy. You're told follow this code. It's objectively good, apparently. Nah, not buying it. Sith all the way.
Mm,
Maybe, yeah. No, you could as a Sith, you can choose your own path. As a Jedi, you can't. So
Can you?
yeah, you can because you have choice. You don't have choice as a Jedi. The
Yeah.
Jedi, the order is so rigid that it is designed for you to not have choice. Like you're just a robot being told to do what you were told to do and being told that was good when maybe
Yeah,
it
that's
wasn't.
true. That's true,
All right,
I guess.
Margie?
Well, I'm trying to remember her name. But there was this sick Jedi who was a female who, instead of doing the Jedi thing where she just fought like did what the Jedi wanted, she kind of just went out and did her own thing. She also wore white robes, which is meant to be like symbolic of like Ahsoka and like the Star Wars Rebels when she shows up wearing white robes. But it's like someone who kind of goes off and finds their own path as a Jedi, which is really cool. So like as she engages and stuff, it's more of like the gray zone
Grey
Jedi.
Yeah, the Grey
yeah,
Jedi.
yeah, which I'm really fucking into, which I think I would do because fuck being a Sith, because there can only be two. I'm sorry, I can't handle that kind of pressure. I'd be like, no wonder they're all fucking batshit and they got ugly faces, because you'd just be walking around like, you are fighters, and like, you know, you'd be worried about people coming for your job constantly. Too much pressure.
Yeah, but you could just retire.
You can't retire if you're a
You can't
fucking
just-
Sith Lord.
Yeah,
Sith
you
Lords
can.
do not retire. Sith Lords
I didn't.
have to
I didn't
get
say I want to be a
skills.
Sith Lord. I'll just be a Sith. I'll just retire. I'll find
You
something else to
can't
do.
just be a Sith. You'd have to, if you're a Sith,
I mean,
you wanted to. You
He's
wanted
making
to.
a strong argument to
I
be
have.
able to do
I
such
have
a
the
thing.
choice to retire. The Jedi doesn't. I just. I was like, you
you
know, what?
can't
I'm just.
stop being a Sith.
Why not? Tell me why not.
Oh, because that's not the way. You still it's no one's ever done it. People have walked away from the Jedi Order though, and I would just want to be like Ahsoka and be like, "Peace out, bitches," and then walk off, and they'd be like, "Yeah, whatevs," and like, what are we gonna do about it? Like, you're allowed to leave the Jedi Order. I don't think a Sith is gonna fucking let you walk away. Siths are not nice people, generally speaking.
I'll take my chances.
Nah,
I mean,
fuck that.
you're both putting up very, very strong arguments, because I definitely wrote
Jedi,
like
yellow lightsaber, leave the Jedi Order, get a pet
But-
owl or whatever.
But what you're positing is you'd prefer to be a grey Jedi, which is not what we're talking about. We said Jedi Sith. That's different.
But
A grey
technically, so
Jedi
you,
is technically
Grant.
you're choosing to.
Yeah, you're
be a
choosing
Jedi
a
who's-
retired Sith. That
Right,
is
no,
a
fight,
difference.
fight,
No,
fight,
I'm
fight,
saying
fight.
I can retire, but you're choosing to be a Jedi who's no longer a Jedi.
It's a loophole, and it was not stipulated in the contract or terms and
I mean,
conditions.
He technically has you there. Because I kind of like figured, I was like, Jedi seems so much more boring, but I couldn't do the evil of being a Sith. I think I like me, I would have to help people. Jedi would be very boring. So if I could be a grey Jedi, but Grant I think I'd have to kind of agree with Grant. Like if I have the choice between the really boring Puritans or the evil person with possibly the chance to, I mean, if I was a Sith as well, like, I could just cut the head off my master and then I just get to retire because no one's going to stop me from retiring. If
Assuming
there's only two of us.
assuming you can beat your master. If he's your master, he's probably heaps better than you.
Yeah, once you lose, you're
gotta kill
retired
him in his
anyway.
sleep. That's true. But pros of being a Jedi, like I like helping people. I have that thing in me where like I guess humanity, whatever it's called, where like I do like helping people. And being a Jedi,
But they don't help people. They help people that conform to their view. That's all they do.
Hey, look, it's a religion with a cool logo and fucking sick temples and weird wizard magic. And if you're powerful enough, you can shoot lightning out of your hands, as we saw from Rey. So I posit that being a Jedi could be cool. Like Days of the High Republic, fuck yeah. They had Jedis out doing heaps of stuff. Like the days that we see in like the Star Wars films is like the end of the Jedi because there's not that many Jedi left and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know, being a Jedi's sick. Like, I'd be happy with that. Like, and you see people being Jedi, like in Star Wars Rebels, you see people being Jedi who aren't members of the church, but they still identify as Jedi.
Phonies.
Fair. As a side note, are either of you two watching or intend to watch The Mandalorian season 3?
I've been watching it the whole time.
I watched the most recent one with the big bird. Dragon.
Oh, yeah, that's a good episode, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So I'm not spoiling anything if I talk about the latest
Jar Jar
episode.
Binks.
Yeah, if you guys haven't if you guys haven't
Spoiler,
seen
I mean,
bird.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the latest episode, spoiler alert, but I fucking love that they brought back the Jar Jar Binks character and gave that dude some sort of redemption.
Ahmed
Because
Best, it was cool.
Yeah, Ahmed Best's story is so fucking sad about how he was like bullied basically to the point of suicide after playing Jar Jar Binks. And so to have
and
him
with good
come back
reason. No, I'm sorry.
and to get some sort of like Star Wars redemption, like that actually like really touched my heart. I was like, that's really fucking sweet. So
it was also
Like,
really sad though when they were like, you know, like, is this ever are there any more coming? He's like, this is it, because then you remember the Youngling Slayer 2000 instead of fucking oh my god, sorry, you know the video of Mr. Bean killing the younglings, and Mr. Bean like elaborately pulls out his finger gun and
very good video.
I've been crying over that video for like the first time I watched it. I cried. I thought it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Sorry, but yeah, but also the behind the scenes footage of like episode 1, and it's got the poor actor like with the Jar Jar Binks hat on, and they're all sitting at the table, and it's like how do you keep a straight face?
It's a fair question. But on that note, dear listener, I think we're going to say peace out and nerdiness.
Mr. Bean finger guns. Would you
Mr.
rather
Bean
be
guns.
a Jedi or a
Youngling.
Sith? Watch out, Youngling. She's got him.
Let us know in the comments below. Tell your parents to listen to Slayer. Slayer sucks.
Slayer's pretty good. Have you?
Good.
And also, am I disobeying the rules by saying Grey Jedi? Let me know, because you know what?
Yes.
Fuck you. Hey,
As the dictator who wrote the rules, as you two seem to continue.
he admits it. He admits it.
Aye, honourable leader.
Yes, you're breaking the rules.